So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Leeds Community Foundation and GiveBradford Open Grants briefing event. It's really great to see so many of you here today. Just as a quick intro, so I'm Alex Kupis. I'm one of the grant officers at LCF, and I'll be giving you kind of an overview of LCF and GiveBradford, plus kind of our processes on applying and evaluation. I'm also joined today by two of my colleagues, Helena and Maria, who will speak about our upcoming programs over the next few months. Just before we begin, I'd just like to remind you all that the briefing event is being recorded and will be shared on our website and social media for those groups that were unable to attend. So if you prefer not to be seen, please could you turn your cameras off? Also, if I could ask for you to keep all your mics on mute during the presentation. If you have a specific question kind of throughout the presentation itself, please pop it in the chat and it will be kind of addressed at the Q&A part of the event. Thank you. So a bit about Leeds Community Foundation and GiveBradford. LCF is one of 46 community foundations across the UK. Since the foundations kind of began, we've given over £1 billion of grants, making the combined community foundations the fourth largest UK grant maker. Since March 2020, we've distributed 4.3 million to community organisations, making us the largest independent grant maker in Yorkshire and Humber. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the Community Foundation's kind of objective is to inspire businesses and private donors to give money out locally. This means that we're able to then distribute this effectively and efficiently to organisations to carry out their work in local people. Community foundations kind of give an overview of need and are a practical vehicle for action in each region. So moving on to kind of our application process. All information on any of our grant programs can be found on our website. Please make sure you read kind of the full fund criteria before applying. You can apply for a grant using our online application form, and you're able to attach as well any supporting documents that are needed depending on the fund that you've applied for. Please note that there are word limits to some of the application questions. This is a maximum rather than a guideline, and just make sure that you use the Save as Draft button at the end of the application form if you want to save your work before you submit. Once your form is complete, please click the Submit button. You can also contact us to talk about your project first before you apply, any issues around the criteria and eligibility. And once you've submitted your application, we will acknowledge this with the receipt of your application, and it will be assessed. And yeah, during this assessment period, we may need to contact you for further information, or we might need to contact a referee as well. If your application is shortlisted, it will then be taken to an awards panel for consideration. So our kind of standard grants criteria. So this will be adapted for each grant programme, but this is kind of the set that we normally ask for. So as a minimum, you must be a non-for-profit organisation or social enterprise that has the following in place. So at least 3 trustees, directors, management committee members who are independent and unrelated, and that none of them have more than 50% control. A governing document such as constitution or memorandum and articles of association that just evidences how your group is managed. In addition, we ask for a bank account in the name of your group with a minimum of 2 unrelated signatories, a set of accounts or a record of income and expenditure. And if you're a new group, please could you also submit a bank statement. We also ask for safeguarding policies if you work with children and all vulnerable adults. So for our decision-making process, we recruit independent panels for all our programmes. We talk with the fund holders and other relevant partner organisations. We always work to ensure that our decision panels are fair and diverse. This ensures that the panel considerations and discussions are representative of the third sector and the communities we serve, depending on the specific aims of each programme. The panel's role is to bring an understanding of local and strategic issues and all final decisions are agreed by a majority vote. LCF grant staff or managers are also present at the panels just to support the panel members with regards to the kind of criteria of the programme. As a majority of our funds tend to be oversubscribed, we do try to ensure that constructive feedback is given to all applicants. So moving on to kind of a typical life cycle grants programme. Again, this might vary from each programme, but this is kind of what it should look like for some of them. So we have at the beginning kind of programme launching. It's open for applications for approximately 6 weeks. And then it moves on to the assessment period, which we usually allow a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks, with a panel kind of shortly afterwards. The decisions of the panel are usually sent a week after awards have been made, along with the funding agreement and any conditions, you know, if you're successful. Step 7 is project delivery, which depends on the length of each individual project, finally leading to the reporting and evaluation stage and the general learning of the projects. So for the reporting and evaluation, currently our end of grant report templates can be found on our website under our grants monitoring page. However, some of the reports may be in online form, and if so, you will receive a personalised link for this. We're also keen to understand the impact of each grant, and all organisations awarded will be expected to complete an end of grant report to capture information of what has been achieved, what has been learned, and any outcomes. For some funds, we also ask for an interim report, and this will be stated in the grants criteria before you apply. We just ask that you consider how the learning of the project will be evidenced and demonstrated, any planned outcomes, the success measurements you've used, and how the impact will be captured. You can include evaluation costs within your project budgets as well in your application. You may also wish to capture the impact through evaluation tools, such as case studies, questionnaires, quotes, photographs, but if you do so, please ensure that permission has been granted prior to sharing. Now I'll just move on to quickly talk about our upcoming Healthy Holidays programme. So we will be running a new round of Healthy Holidays for grants up to £7,000 in Leeds. The programme will be funded by the DfE via Leeds City Council to work with community groups, schools and community hubs. The programme is open to groups wishing to organise and deliver holiday activity and food provisions for school children in the summer holidays. The deadline is yet to be confirmed, but we do recommend that the delivery is equivalent to 4 hours, 4 days a week over 4 weeks, but there can be some flexibility with this. We're keen to target current cold spots, mainly in the outer areas of Leeds, but there will be a full list of priority areas in the grants criteria. There's also been a new appointment of a Healthy Holidays coordinator, and queries can be directed to the Healthy Holidays email on screen. Great, thank you. Now I'll pass on to Helena, who will be talking about a couple of our upcoming programmes.
Thank you, Alex. My name's Helena Bassett. I'm a grants officer here at Leeds Community Foundation. I'm going to discuss 2 of our grant programmes which we run through our campaign GiveBradford. So the first one is the Bradford Youth Fund. This fund is in its 3rd round or 3rd year, and grants are available through this fund for the provision of regular sessions of youth work across 12 months within Bradford, and they should address at least one of the following areas of the district's youth offer. So these areas are projects should be open access youth work, targeted youth work, information advice and guidance for young people, youth voice, active citizenship. Grant size, this may be subject to change, but it's £1,000 to £5,000 available for 1-year projects. With this fund, again, with the COVID-19 situation, we do encourage applicants to consider what types of activities they'd like to deliver, if it's online or in person, social distancing, things like that, and also just to include costs and overhead in your application in the budget as well. We understand that everything's quite uncertain at this time, so we are offering some flexibility in terms of what projects you can deliver, as long as they meet these 5 areas in the district's youth offer. Just to go into a bit more detail about the Bradford Youth Fund, it must be work or projects that reach and engage young people between the ages of 13 to 19, or if the young people have a disability, then that age increases to 25. And beneficiaries must meet at least one of the following groups as well, and this is again within the Bradford District's youth offer. So projects should benefit young parents or young people affected by drugs problems, LGBT young people who are from new migrant communities, young people who are homeless, reported missing, or they may have run away, young people who are living in poverty. And priority for this fund as well will be given to applicants who are delivering activities in areas of high deprivation or disadvantage within the Bradford City District. It can fund quite a wide range of activities. Again, it's quite general youth work, but just to sort of give you a bit more of an idea about some of the projects that we have funded in the past and for this round as well, activities, work and projects should allow young people to come together to develop new skills around leadership, team working or social action within their community. Projects should be enjoyable, but also challenging and progressive, and young people should have that space to learn new skills, explore their strengths, make friends, gain confidence. Projects and work could benefit the local area. It could be an environmental kind of activity. It could tackle a community issue. It could raise awareness of something, and it could address a cause or promote community cohesion. The projects, again, should broaden young people's perspectives, thinking and horizons. So there may be activities there for young people to, sort of develop their skills and look at maybe potential educational training activities as well. The activities and work should actively encourage young people to lead, create, influence, empower and provide opportunities for young people to express their voice to make a positive difference. And also young people should be able to increase their social, personal and formal relationships and communication. So that could be making friends with their peers, working with the local community, intergenerational work, whether it's in schools or youth centres as well. And again, similar to the training that I just mentioned, it can be work that can increase their educational attainment, raise their aspirations, provide room for critical thinking and sharing of ideas as well. As I mentioned just before, we do encourage all applicants to put full cost recovery in their budget. So that can be your staff, management costs, overheads, things like rent and utilities, DBS checks as well, and staff costs as well for your youth work. And we ask that in the application you just put a short explanation about how you would foresee the project continuing after the funding has finished after the 12 months. And also we can include evaluation as well, if you'd like to get an external evaluator to come in and do some work, or if you just need some additional internal capacity, and we do advise and encourage you to put the costs within that as well. So that's an overview of the Bradford Youth Fund. That will be opening very soon, next month in June. And as we were showing through the project's journey with funds, it should be open for around 6 weeks. So I'm going to speak a bit about the next fund for Bradford region, which is Sir Ken and Lady Morrison Fund. So this one will be our second round for this fund. We delivered our first round last year. It's in partnership with the Morrison family, and this fund will focus on building literacy to engage and support young people, families, carers, adults from disadvantaged backgrounds with their reading and writing across the Bradford district. So I have put here to be confirmed, because this is still, discussions are still being had, and there may be some changes to the criteria, but it is due to launch in July 2021. So it will be on our website, available soon, and also on our grants links. Grant size, again, to be confirmed, but it should be around £2,500 to £10,000 for 1 year projects. There may be opportunity for multi-year projects, but that discussion is still ongoing. Just to give you a bit more information about this fund as well. So yes, it's a fund that improves literacy amongst a wide range of people across Bradford district. It can be children, young people, care leavers, adults from disadvantaged backgrounds, increase in parent and carers reading with their families, and it can be also support and encouragement to bring people together to improve their overall literacy. Applicants, again, should be able to show that they are addressing a specific need in their community, and this fund, as last year, is looking to fund practical projects that provide that real tangible impact, and we can see the outputs in terms of improving literacy. Just sort of an ideas, because I know it's quite not vague, but just to give you some activities and some project ideas. They could be projects that might encourage children and families to use their local library, could be activities and work taking place there. There could be workshops or classes that support and encourage parents to read and write with their children. Projects that support ex-offenders to improve their literacy and engage with their families and maybe do training. It can also fund a bit more on the creative side, spoken word, poetry workshops that engage young people and young adults to improve their literacy, and that can be a really fun, supportive environment. So they're just a few ideas about what the fund can support, and again, it can sort of support educational attainment as well in terms of literacy. I just wanted to share what we did fund last year as well with this fund. So we did fund a project which delivered an early intervention programme, and this project linked foundation reading skills, speaking skills and positive learning behaviours with imaginative play and physical activities for children between the ages of 4 to 7 years old. And the project also upskilled their parents, both in supportive learning at home and reading and writing with their children. And this was a 40 hours training programme across 1 year. So each child had access to around 50 hours of reading over the course of the project, with their parents involved as well. And the parents were supported in terms of the different age groups and how to engage and encourage the children to read and write. And with the COVID-19, this project was able to be delivered online. So they used Zoom and Facebook and delivered activity packs as well, which was really, welcomed and really valuable support for parents during the lockdown we saw last year. And again, this project is a good example. It meets the core aims of what we're looking for this fund. And I think after last year and everything that happened, it's just really, really good support for parents and people living in Bradford area as well. So that's the 2 Bradford funds. I'm going to hand over now to my colleague who will discuss some other funds which are in Leeds area, I believe. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria. I'm one of the grants officers at Leeds Community Foundation, GiveBradford. So the first fund I'm going to be speaking about is the Community Partnering Fund. So Leeds Community Foundation and GiveBradford, we're delighted to be working with Northern Gas Networks and Northern Power Grid once again to support community groups to deliver schemes that can tackle a range of issues. So it might be things like affordable warmth or encouraging young people into STEM subjects and careers. And it's really about supporting groups who are embedded in their local communities and really have that big impact. So the Community Partnering Fund focuses on supporting third sector organisations and community groups to deliver initiatives that really help broaden Northern Gas Network and Northern Power Grid's reach. So they're interested in education and support to communities on at least one of the following objectives. So they're interested in alleviating hardship that's associated with fuel poverty, for example, or promoting energy-related environmental impact, so things like efficiency or carbon reduction, educating and informing communities about safety, so things like, for example, carbon monoxide poisoning, encouraging interest in STEM, so that's science, technology, engineering and maths, so that might be working with young people to explore those subjects or encourage them into moving into careers. And finally, promoting the Priority Services Register, which is a free service which works with customers who might be in vulnerable circumstances. The grant amount can be between £1,000 and up to £10,000, although priority is given to applicants applying for up to £5,000. And as you'll see, there's a really big list of areas there. So this fund covers a big chunk of the north. So any groups who are working with beneficiaries located in the local authority areas you can see on screen can apply for this grant. It opens on the 28th of June and closes on the 2nd of August. And we expect to circulate decisions early in October. So next up, we've got the Pears Youth Fund, and this is made possible thanks to generous support from the Pears Family Foundation based in London. They have a specific interest in working with children and young people, and this fund is open to third sector organisations with a youth focus, delivering in both Bradford and Leeds. Previous applicants will notice that the focus is slightly different with this round compared to previous years. There's much more of a focus on supporting organisations who are emerging from the effects of COVID-19. And Pears Youth Fund seek to support third sector youth organisations really to deliver that high quality youth work and promote youth voice, so really engage them in the developing of any projects, and at a time when it's that unrestricted funding is really needed. So this is a full cost recovery approach. So do feel you can include things like your management fees, your overheads in applying for this fund. And you can apply for a single year grant of up to £10,000 or a partnership grant over 2 years of up to £40,000. So there would be a limit of up to £20,000 per year with that one. And as I said, this funding is unrestricted, so you can use it towards your overheads as well as your delivery and activity. And what Pears really want to see is that the funds are used to make a difference for children and young people. So as I mentioned, Bradford and Leeds can apply for this, and we expect to open on the 2nd of June and close on the 21st of July. And applicants will be notified of decisions towards the end of September. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Maria and Helena. So now we'll move on to the Q&A section of today's event.
If anyone has any questions about any of the funds that we've been speaking about today, if you want to pop a question in the chat or unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, can I ask a question about the school holiday grants that you're giving, the activities in the holidays? Is that just based in Leeds, or does that cover Bradford as well?
It will be just Leeds.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's a Pears question there, isn't there? So Pears Youth Fund, really it's about youth focus. So the activity itself can be incredibly varied. In the past, we've supported a range of things, things like young people making their own radio shows, for example. But that's just one example. It can be really varied. It's just that it's youth focused.
There's a healthy holidays question just here. Can grant restricted to organisations in Leeds, or you can apply? Okay, so this fund is available for organisations that are based in or supporting people living in the Leeds metropolitan district area. So if you are based outside of Leeds but you're going to be supporting people in Leeds, then that's fine. And if you're based in Leeds and supporting people in Leeds, then that's fine as well. Thank you.
Hiya, sorry, just a quick question about the Pears Foundation. Is there an income limit for the organisation, or do they take that into consideration, or is it kind of open?
As far as I'm aware, there isn't an income limit, but priority is given to organisations of an income of less than 500,000 a year.
Thank you.
There's another Healthy Holidays question. Do we need to demonstrate match funding for the Healthy Holidays grant?
No, you don't need to demonstrate match funding, but if you do have match funding, you can still put that in the budget in the application. And if you do have any support in kind, such as venue hire and things like that, then you can put it in the space for your budget description as well. Thank you.
And there's another Pears Foundation, Pears Youth Fund question. Does it have to have been running before lockdown started, or can it be new?
It can be new, so it's quite a broad criteria in the sense that you can fund continued activity, but also they will be interested in supporting new projects. So it's pretty open.
And then somebody else has asked, what constitutes as a partnership application?
That is a good question. A partnership will need to be really developed. So what they're interested in seeing is that real added value. So what does working in partnership bring to your organisation and the partnership organisation that really strengthens that youth voice and the work that you do with young people? But what that actually looks like will obviously vary depending on the organisations and the type of activity being delivered.
And another one for you, Maria. Could the Pears Youth Fund be applied for some intergenerational work?
That is actually a really good question. I don't think it's on the list of things that wouldn't be funded. So I think so long as there is that youth focus and it's a very considered project, I think that would be eligible. But if you do want to kind of check with me, I'll pop my email address in the chat.
Just to add on to that as well, because we have Bradford Youth Fund, so we have two youth funds for Bradford, but for the Bradford Youth Fund, again, it needs to be focused on youth work. So if there is maybe an element of community work or social action, then that's fine as well, as long as the focus is on the young people and their sort of development and participation in the project. Thank you.
I think somebody asked where you find the application forms. So depending upon which programme or which area that you're working in, if you go to obviously GiveBradford, if you're an organisation in Bradford, and we have an open grants page on there, and it will list all the open grants on there, and within those pages you'll have a link to an application form, and then exactly the same for Leeds Community Foundation. And then there's a question around funding new organisations. Would we fund an organisation that has no funding history, and what constitutes as new?
We do fund new and developing organisations and community groups. If you don't have a funding history, then we do ask that you still have your management committee with at least 3 unrelated members, a bank account in the group's name, and a governance document or a constitution, just explaining what your aims are and powers and things like that. With the financial part, we would ask to see maybe your income and expenditure to date, so that can be presented on an Excel spreadsheet, or it could be a bank account statement as well. But yeah, we are open to funding new organisations and new work across Bradford and Leeds.
Helena, can the Bradford Youth Fund fund existing projects?
Yes, they can, yes. As long as you read through the criteria, and it should still meet at least one of those 5 areas of youth work: open access, targeted youth work, information, advice and guidance, youth voice, active citizenship, and at least one of the beneficiaries list that will be available on our website. Then yes, we can fund existing work through the fund.
And Cheryl's asked if we can look at if they can see the application forms before the opening dates for programmes.
I'm actually not sure. Does anyone else from the grants team know if that's possible?
Sure. We can't share the application form before the fund has opened, but what you can do is when the fund is launched, you can register, and then you can have access to look at the application form, and then you can complete it and submit if you want to apply, or if you just want to check through the questions, then that's fine as well. But we wouldn't be able to share the application form before the fund is launched, I'm afraid.
Thanks, Helena.
Thanks, Marie.
Not sure if we've missed any questions.
Yeah, any other questions? If you do have any questions that come to mind after this event, you can email us in the grants inbox as well, and then one of us as grant officers will pick that query up and either give you a phone call or reply by email.
If there aren't, oh sorry, my voice went. If there aren't any other questions, I also notify you that you can sign up to our grants mailing list. You can receive a notification as and when a grants programme is launched, and this can be found on our website or via the link in the chat. So,
Thank you everyone as well.
Yeah,
just reading everybody's messages, it's really lovely. Thanks everybody.
Thank you. If there aren't any other questions, I think that's probably the end of the event. But thank you all for attending. And yeah, thank you for your great questions and support. And if, yeah, as Helena said, if you have any other questions, please do contact us at the grants inbox email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Hi, sorry, just one from me. I'd completed the expression of interest for the Healthy Holidays funding, and we'd put in, Leeds United Foundation, we'd put in quite a higher amount than what's available from what you've obviously put on. Is there any possibility that it could be discussed, or is there any sort of scope to get a higher amount than £7,000, because we were wanting to deliver citywide?
I think And not at the moment, as far as we're aware. I think the grant amounts are set, but I think maybe send an email over to our Healthy Holidays coordinator or our head of grants ahead, and maybe there might be something that we can do to help and facilitate the project for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.